Welcome to the Raising Confident Girls podcast, your guide to raising strong, confident daughters. I'm Melissa Jones, the founder of Girls Positivity Club and a teacher for over 20 years. In a world where girls often feel overwhelmed, anxious, and confused, this podcast is your go-to space. As caregivers, we navigate challenges together. I founded Girls Positivity Club to provide a place where you belong and get the tools to face today's hurdles. Consider this your regular check-in with a trusted friend, offering insights and practical tips for meaningful conversations. I'm here to help you feel confident on this journey of raising a generation of empowered girls. Let's dive in and raise those confident girls together. Hey everybody, it's Melissa and welcome to Pep Talk Friday. I think there's one question that almost every parent of a daughter has asked herself. Sometimes we say it out loud. Sometimes we just say it in our minds, and sometimes we even tell it to one of our closest friends. Because we can carry this quietly, and it's kind of tucked away in our hearts. It's simply this: is she going to be okay? The situations change as our daughters grow. So when they're 5, maybe it's kindergarten and how she'll do in school. When they're 8, it starts the friendship conversation in our minds and never stops. And I think even before then. When they're 11, it's middle school and all the things that go along with it. When they're 15, it's decisions we know we won't always be there to help them make. The details change, but underneath them is often the very same question: is she going to be okay? And as a parent of a teenager, an 18-year-old, I can tell you with certainty that never changes. This week was a camp week, and I found myself thinking about this question all over again because there was a little girl who had been at camp before, just a month earlier, and she loved it. It was her first camp. She's 6 years old. She loved coming. She had a really close friend with her. She smiled the whole time, hugged me all the time. She loved it. She knew the routines. She knew me. She knew the volunteers. She knew what camp was like. And so, of course, her parents signed her up for a camp this month. And this week that camp just started this month felt different for her, because her close friend wasn't coming. And suddenly, something that had felt safe a month ago didn't feel quite so safe to her anymore. She held on to her parents when they dropped her off, and even 2 of the days she wasn't able to stay because her anxiety was too high and she just wanted to go home. It just felt too scary for her to walk in without her close friend there. And this time, I knelt down beside her when her parents, just yesterday actually, were dropping her off. And I reminded her, of course, of how much fun she had had. And I told her that I thought she would make new friends, which I knew she would. And she still was unsure. And so I said to her, finally, I looked her right in the eyes and I said, "I'll be with you." And she said, "The whole time?" And I said, "Of course, I'll be with you." And she thought about it for a second. She still was reluctant, but she decided to stay. Her dad still had to peel her off of him, but I've really been thinking about the moment that both of these parents, both the mom and dad, had when they were trying to get her to stay, because they knew that she was in a safe environment. She knew already, the parents already knew what we had done. And the little girl also, just knew that she loved camp, but she was just feeling unsure about walking into a new place without her safe person with her. And I've been thinking about it, like I said, ever since this started this week, because I don't actually think she stayed because I promised camp would be perfect for her. I don't think she stayed because I guaranteed that she'd make new friends. I think she stayed because she trusted me. Not because we'd known each other for years, but because we'd already spent time together. She knew I cared about her. She believed me. And that trust gave her enough courage to take the next step. And I wonder if that's true for so many of our daughters. Sometimes we think confidence means they're no longer nervous, or no longer unsure, or no longer need reassurance. But I don't think that's what confidence looks like at all. Sometimes confidence looks like taking one small step because someone you trust believes you can. Think about our own lives. How many times have you done something hard because someone believed in you first? A teacher, a coach, a friend, a spouse, a mentor. They didn't remove the hard thing. They simply helped you believe you could walk through it. And I think our daughters are doing the very same thing, no matter what age they are. And one thing I've learned after watching hundreds of girls over the years is that confidence isn't a straight line. Just because something felt easy once doesn't mean it'll feel easy the next time. A girl can love camp in June and still feel nervous coming back in July because her friend isn't there. She can love dance until she moves up to a new class. She can feel confident at school until friend groups change. Our daughters don't grow in a straight line, and neither do we. Sometimes they need reassurance again, just like we do. Sometimes they need someone to remind them, you've done hard things before. I'm here. I believe in you. And there is nothing wrong with that. And one thing I want to say about these parents that dropped off the little girl is they did such an amazing job of reassuring her and using language that was supportive and also just acknowledging how she felt. The mom and the dad both did that. And I thought it was so powerful. They both said, yes, I know it feels scared, but I also know that you're brave and you can do it. And they just said all the right things. And it didn't stop her from being scared or upset, but it was the exact reassurance that she needed to hear from them. And, once they left and everything started with camp, she was able to move through it. And, I think about, that sometimes we need to remind them and give them those reassuring words, even if they don't believe it yet. We tell them, I'm here. I believe in you. You can do this. And there is nothing wrong with that. That's such a supportive thing to do. And I think as moms, parents, caregivers of girls, we sometimes put pressures on ourselves to have the right answer, to know exactly what to say the right thing, to move them through the moment quicker, to make sure our daughters never struggle, even though logically we know that they have to in order to grow. But maybe that's not actually our job. Maybe our job isn't to guarantee that every experience turns out exactly the way we hope. Maybe our job is to become someone our daughters trust enough to borrow a little courage from until they find their own. And I love that image because if you think about it, that's what we've all done. We borrow courage until one day, without even realizing it, it becomes our own. So is she going to be okay? I honestly don't know exactly what every chapter of your daughter's life will hold. I don't know what friendships she'll have, what disappointments she'll face, or what incredible things she'll discover about herself. None of us know those answers. But here's what I do know. Every time you show up, just like those parents did, every time you listen, every time you encourage her, every time you remind her of who she is, every time you believe in her before she fully believes in herself, you're giving her something she'll carry long after she's grown. You're becoming someone she can borrow courage from. And one day, without either of you even noticing exactly when it happened, the courage she borrowed from you will become the confidence she carries herself. So if you've been asking, is she going to be okay? I hope this gives you a little peace today. Your daughter doesn't need a mom or parent or caregiver who can predict the future. She needs someone whose love reminds her, you don't have to walk through this alone. And I have a feeling that's exactly the kind of parent you already are. Thank you for joining me today. I'm right here with you, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining another empowering episode of the Raising Confident Girls podcast. Share today's insights with caregivers and friends, building beautiful relationships with strong girls. Hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. We're not just a podcast, we're a community. Follow Girls Positivity Club on social media for more empowering content on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. This podcast empowers you, supporting incredible girls. Let's create strong, beautiful relationships with the girls in our lives. I appreciate you listening today. Stay confident, stay connected. Until next time, keep raising those confident girls. You've got this.